afternoon, and thank you to the Steel Club for the invitation to speak today. Reflecting on my 18 months as Chief Executive and the discussions that I've had with a range of senior stakeholders, including analysts, media, investment professionals, and government ministers, I've come to believe that perhaps the most significant factor affecting any international coal market outlook has been our fragmentation as a coal value chain. I too can see that we have not united in our education of the global community about the positive contribution of coal and how it's very much embedded in our way of life. So I very much appreciate the opportunity today to address you as coal consumers and part of a global coal value chain. There are those who would simply regard the anti-coal sentiment as a problem for thermal producers and consumers. But I can assure you, and I'm sure you know, that many stakeholders do not differentiate between coal players nor a coal market outlook. In a recent interview, I indicated you're either in coal or you're not, and you're either committed to the transformation to clean coal or you're not. If your business is connected to coal, your best defense strategy is that of transparency and transformation. For the World Coal Association members who are from across the coal value chain and geographies, and to the future members who we are in discussions with, there is recognition that any coal debate cannot just speak to the ambition to achieve a net zero emissions environment. It must also speak of the solutions required to achieve a net zero emissions economy. Our challenge today is not a new one. Coal is a finite resource, we've always known this, and coal technologies have addressed many efficiency and environmental issues over time. So again, we must come up with a solution in the form of an adaptive technologies roadmap for coal. From my observations and discussions, particularly with government ministers around the world, the market outlook for coal is affected by three key factors: perception, behavior, and reality. Perceptions inform behavior, and behavior, as we know, shapes our reality. And policies which ignore coal is an essential component in steel production, or that coal provides the necessary baseload for an electricity grid supporting intermittent renewables, or that technology solutions like CCS also exist for coal, or that coal is a choice for many emerging markets seeking to support their economic prosperity, or that coal will address energy poverty for many developing societies. In November 2019, our association ratified its strategy to become the first movers, if you will, of an education and unification campaign. The strategy is built on the belief that as an industry, our behavior as an entire coal value chain will shape our future reality. And I start with a reality from Daniel Riogan's recent book, The New Map. If we stop producing fossil fuels today, we all know we wouldn't have food, transportation, air conditioning, or clothes. Another reality. Over 70% of global steel production, as you know, relies on coal, and the rapid growth of crude steel production has resulted in significant investment in a young blast furnace fleet. Coal is the backbone of both the steel and cement industries, helping us build the modern societies we live in. Another reality. Coal is a critical resource, enabling the ongoing energy transition. So if the most ambitious scenario from the International Energy Agency is to be achieved for wind power, with an increase from 566 to 2,364 gigawatts by 2040, it will require 185 million tons of coking coal, equivalent to 17% of the world met coal production in 2019. Without coal, our future steel needs cannot be affordably met with the current technology available. And now to the reality of coal energy, the world's largest single source of electricity, and will still be the largest contributor with a 22% share in 2040. So coal and steel are very much part of our future. But the success of this future is dependent on technology progress. And like the coal-fueled power sector, the steel industry has made solid progress in recent years to improve efficiency and lower its carbon footprint. However, this alone will not bring about the significant CO2 emission reduction required by Paris. Projects using CCUS, such as Emirates Steel in Abu Dhabi and DMX CCS demonstration, are promising. We should also recognise the various developments using methane or hydrogen as a fuel stock that coal gasification could support. Globally, it is a balanced, diverse approach that is needed. India's Reliance Hassan supercritical power plant has also the potential to generate enough power for 17.5 million people across 17 states, creating 41,000 jobs throughout the construction and operational life, and enabling 22 million people to access safe water, and demonstrating the considerable economic, employment and social benefits of this type of project, which is about coal. So what is the future outlook for the international coal market? I think this future is very much ours to determine and define. It's dependent on cohesive and perhaps courageous communication of the coal facts, which recognizes our connectivity as a global economy. While many of us make the distinction between thermal or metallurgical coal markets, several European and Australian institutions have not. The number of banks adopting restrictive financing regimes for coal-fired power in recent years is well documented, and a rise of such institutional attitudes could also block the long-term viable development or disrupt that of the essential raw material supplies to steel mills. But education alone will not be enough. We will also need demonstration that as an industry, we are on board and we're transitioning. And one such transition is CCUS, without which reaching net zero emissions is virtually impossible. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has shown that reaching global emission targets would be 138% more expensive without CCUS. So the reality is clear. We will need to advocate for a future where clean and economic prosperity are no longer considered mutually exclusive. For me, there is no place for virtue signalling or politicizing in this transition agenda, nor, as Jürgen would say, is there a place for illusions. The cost of the transition will be big. Inaction is not an option, so our focus must be on the adaptive technology solutions for coal, which qualify it to be a clean transition participant. In closing, if you're in coal transparently and you're committed to the transformation and sensible transition to clean coal technologies, then we must continue to work hard to achieve the global policy realism needed from governments and investors, which recognizes our industry and our members as responsible coal value chain stakeholders. I thank you today for the opportunity to speak, and hopefully this is the first of many steps in unison to better inform a more positive future outlook for the global coal market. Thank you.